Welcome to Market Like It's Hot, the podcast where strategy sizzles, marketing and marketing nonsense goes to die. I'm Yasmin, and with me, as always, is Izzy from Rebel Marketing. And around here, we don't believe in chasing trends just to chase them, posting just to post, or burning out trying to go viral. Instead, we talk about what actually works, real strategies, real talk, and the occasional roast of Canva updates and LinkedIn bros. Whether you're a team of one running $1 million business or somewhere in between, this is your no fluff, high impact guide to marketing like a rebel. Today, we have the amazing Quinn Conyers. She is an internationally recognized event MC, keynote speaker, and communication strategist with over 20 years of experience leading high visibility conferences, association meetings, and corporate events. Known for her high energy, strategic presence, and ability to activate every attendee, Quinn partners with event planners and organizations to transform average events into intentional, engaging, and unforgettable experiences. I have experienced her on stage in real life, so she is amazing. More than a host, though, Quinn serves as a strategic extension of the event team, ensuring seamless transitions, engaged audiences, supported speakers, and visible sponsors. She's the founder of the Epic MC Academy and a trusted expert in the business of professional hosting, helping MCs and leaders elevate their influence and impact. Whether on stage or behind the scenes, Quinn's mission is simple: design experiences where audiences rave, return, and refer. Quinn, I'm so excited to have you on.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm excited about the conversation.
So, Quinn, you've been on a ton of stages. Do you remember the first time you got paid to speak?
I do. The first time I got paid to speak, I was in college, and I had found out that a couple of different universities had gotten grants to teach entrepreneurship on college campuses because my college was one of them. And I found a list of other ones. So I began to reach out and say, hey, I'm a student entrepreneur. I speak to entrepreneurs that are students, teaching them how to start businesses while they're still in college. Would you be interested in having me come as a speaker? And they were like, yes. And they were like, we have a budget of $750. I'm like, yes, again, let's do this. So that was like the first time. And I just thought that I like this. I like this a lot, especially at the time. I think work study was like 625 an hour. So $750 for, a presentation was really exciting. And that's when I knew that it could actually be a career.
You describe yourself as not just an MC, but a strategic extension of the event team. Can you break down what that actually looks like behind the scenes?
Yeah, I think that the role of the MC in the meetings, events, and hospitality industry has been very, what I say, disrespected or undervalued. And when people tend to think about an MC, they think about usually an announcer, someone who says, here's our speakers, here's our sponsors, here's where the restrooms are, here's what's coming next. And for me, when I partner with my clients, whether it's the marketing team, the communications team, or the events team, I consider myself an extension, which means I'm a part of those pre-event meetings. I'm looking to see how can we create audience activation activities to make sure that the attendees are fully present. So I do go above and beyond to make sure that the event, the conference, or an experience is really consumed by all five senses of the people who are in the audience. So when I'm talking to people and they're having an event and they're like, I always let them know, if you're looking for someone to simply introduce speakers and sponsors, I'm not the one. But if you're looking for someone that you can have a partnership with, that we can create intentional moments that really allow the attendees to come alive and experience the conference for one or multiple days, I have a lot of ideas and strategies. And that's why I say I become an extension of the team. My biggest compliment is, how long have you been with this company? They don't even know that I was actually hired, like the keynote speaker was hired to come in and facilitate, the meeting. So that's what I mean. It's more than just reading off a prompter, reading off paper. It really is about how can I create a mind blowing, not mediocre experience. That's my thought process.
Wow, that's incredible. So, and the biggest compliment is like, how long have you been with this business, right?
Hmm.
All right. So, a lot of entrepreneurs do struggle to verbalize their value.
Uh-huh.
What does that actually mean to you, and how do you help them fix it?
Yeah. So when you meet someone and you don't even know if they're an entrepreneur, right? If you could be at a networking event, you could be at a conference, you could be at a parking lot, you could be getting some groceries really quickly. And they're going to say, hey, you bump into someone, casual conversation. The number one question is, what do you do? Or what do you do for a living? And I believe all marketing starts by mouth, right? So nobody's going to say, what's your website? They don't know you have a website. They're not going to say, what's your LinkedIn or can we exchange contact information? It's what do you do? So I believe that if we can be more intentional, strategic, and direct about answering that question, what do you do? That is when the marketing process stops. Because if you say something that intrigues me, I want to have a deeper conversation. If you say something that makes me not interested, then I'm going to say, great, good for you. And you kindly just got dismissed. So I believe when people are asking that question, what do you do? It's not a chance for you to give your title. It really is an opportunity to give your transformation. What do you really do? Who do you super serve? And I believe all marketing starts with conversations and you being able to verbalize your own value, meaning you are able to articulate what it is that you do and how you do it differently in a way that is clear, concise, and compelling. So I believe all marketing does not start with social media. It does not start with, the old school of newspaper and, television ads if you got the money. Marketing really does start by what people see initially if they land on your website or if they meet you on social. And marketing, obviously, in person starts with how are you having conversations with people?
Definitely. And talking about those conversations kind of leads me to my next question. You talked about using your voice to grow your business. What are some overlooked ways business owners can do that beyond just keynote speaking?
Okay, so one of the things I think that you can use your voice to grow your business beyond just speaking is what I call removing discount dialect from your vocabulary. A lot of business owners, especially women, don't understand that we do great at our first impression, meaning when we meet, we shake hands, we look the part, even if we have $2 in our bank account, right? We are dressed like $2 million. And then where I think we fail is the second impression, which again is what do you do? It's the conversation part. So a part of that is a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs are using again weak words, discount dialect. So it's like, what do you do? Oh, I help entrepreneurs grow their business. In my opinion, what we do is so much more than helping. It's transformational. It is monumental. It can be the difference between someone moving forward, someone staying stagnant. It can be life or death. And I believe that we take that very lightly. And in my opinion, a quick fix is change your language. Instead of saying I help, you can say I assist, I partner, I advance. So being intentional about your language is one way to grow because most people are stuck in using weak words instead of wealthy words. And then that makes them overlooked. It makes them dismissed because how they're talking about their business seems the same as everyone else. And I know that we all have similar businesses, but it's not the same. So it is the job of the entrepreneur. It is the duty and the responsibility of the business owner to be able to differentiate so they can dominate in whatever field they are. And I believe that differentiator starts with the language that you're using. We should not be using words like just, like help. Those are all weak words because what you do is not just anything. One of my least favorite words I always say, I'm not a small business owner. I'm a big business owner, right? Like nothing about me is little. So I'm very cognizant and conscious about the words that I use. And I feel like that not only gives me a confidence kick, impacts the perception to other people. So if there's other people who are talking to entrepreneurs and they're constantly saying help, and I'm talking about how I assist and how I partner and how I do all these other things beyond using the word help, I am now remembered and not forgotten.
So, is there a way to bottle you up and have you on my shoulder?
Of
Um,
course, let's do this.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so what's the difference between confidence and clarity when it comes to how we pitch ourselves? You talked a little bit about this. Can you dive a little deeper?
So I think confidence is like what you do is awesome and amazing. Clarity is being able to articulate it. So a lot of times we know what we do is great. We know that we're different. We know that the service, the products, what we offer is very much needed and necessary. We're confident in that. We have the reviews, we have the testimonials, we have the feedback, and however you judge success. The clarity is most of us don't know how to communicate that. It's like we don't know how to, articulate our awesomeness. We don't know how to explain our excellence. So what happens is that's where the confusion comes. And you can have the confidence, but if it doesn't have the clarity, that leads to confusion, right? But if you have, the confidence, you have the clarity, that leads to conversion. And that's what everybody wants. So you have to kind of marry the two. There, everything is needed and necessary. Just like you can have the clarity, but if it's not compelling, then it's like, okay, great, you're a business owner. I know exactly what you do, but that is not necessarily compelling. Like, we want to know a little bit more. So that's why I believe at the end of the day, if small business owners, big business owners, entrepreneurs, founders really do want to advance, I believe that it starts with the words. More importantly, your ability to market by mouth. And, back in the day, people were trying to get a little bit more fancier, but word of mouth was the best form of marketing and promotion. And I think that that still exists today. But I think that it's not just about what, Izzy says about Quinn. It's what Quinn says about Quinn, right? And I think we overlook that. And you just can't rely on what other people say, because people are meeting your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn sometimes before they even have a chance to get a referral. So that's what I think it comes down to.
Definitely. And then also, you already kind of touched upon this, but you talked about using weak words and getting rid of them. But can you walk us through what you mean by luxury language and why it matters in marketing?
Yeah, and listen, if you are listening to this, and I have a luxury language list, it's complimentary, not free. You see what I just did there? Free is more of a weak word. Complimentary is a little bit elevated, right? But if you send me a message on LinkedIn and say, list, I'll send this to you complimentary, right? But in my opinion, weak words are those words that diminish and devalue your experience and your expertise. And most of the times we're using these words and we don't even know it. So it's the words like little, free, affordable, just, right? Like, I just have a business, or I'm working on this little project. There's nothing like little about it. But I think that we have been conditioned to kind of shrink. So those are the weak words. Again, just, little, help, affordable. Why do you have to be affordable? Right? Like, we could be cost effective. Right. So it's those
Yeah.
things. So on the reverse, on the flip side of that, it's just amplified, elevated language to describe what you do. So instead of help, you can support. Instead of help, you can serve. Instead of it being affordable, it can be cost effective, right? It can be, instead of you help, you can empower. Instead of help, you can engage. Instead of help, you can disrupt. And what you'll find is you, as a business owner, will experience a confidence boost, but the potential consumer will also get excited because you're speaking a different language. Most people are stuck in the discount dialect, in the weak words, not realizing that they're looking like, sounding like, packaging, promoting, positioning their business like everybody else because they're using those same words.
And that goes into everything, right? It's the emails that you send, the
Correct.
proposals, the presentation. Yeah, it's oh man, I gotta
Yeah, like,
review the emails that I sent.
I don't send proposals. I send discussion documents.
Mm,
Because
okay.
a
Well,
proposal feels so formal, right? But I'm like,
mhm,
it's a discussion document. I want you to take a look at it. We can discuss the contents that are in there, right? So
mhm.
I found a way to be a little bit more intentional about my language. Like, oh, I never heard of a discussion document. Now it doesn't feel like this is what I offer, take your leave. It feels like this is what I offer. Let's collaborate. Let's have a conversation to make this a win-win. So I'm just very intentional about how most people do discovery calls. I don't do discovery calls in business. I might do a chemistry call. I want to see if we have chemistry to work together. So it's small, little, minute things like that that really, number one, separate me from other entrepreneurs. It could separate anybody who's listening to this, but it's also a vocabulary boost for yourself. So you can begin to think about what you do differently.
Yeah. So shifting into events. This is a question I think that everyone wants to know. What makes a live event forgettable and what makes it epic?
Live events that are unforgettable is very routine, meaning the format. There's a couple of speakers, there's a couple of sponsors, there's a couple of panels, right? I think now more than ever, the audience is craving some type of experiential marketing. They want some type of anything that is unforgettable is more or less, can I touch it? Can I taste it? Can I feel it? Can I smell it? Right? It is the event planner, it is the conference producer who's being very intentional about the experience. And in my opinion, the experience does not start when you walk through the doors of the conference. It starts way before that. One of the things that I feel like is very much overlooked and underutilized is the MC role within events. I think that, having a great MC, not a voluntold board member or a member of the marketing team who can speak well. If you really have someone who understands how to, activate audiences and command crowds, whatever activations that you have can be brought to life. So I think that if you have a format or agenda or run a show that is a standard, we have 3 keynote speakers, 1 panel, and somebody is reading off of a sheet of paper, you're still stuck in the 1960s. Like, no one's doing it like that anymore. But I do think that the industry is moving forward and they are incorporating more elements that really speak to engagement in a different way, and not just engagement obviously through the 5 senses, but engagement to the learner. You got audio learners, people love listening. Then you got people who need to see and they need to hear, and then you got people who need to touch something. So you got the audio, the visual, the kinesthetic learner. So if an event planner or a producer has a great MC, they can speak to all 5 senses of the audience and they can cater to the audio, visual, and kinesthetic learner. That is the recipe for an unforgettable event that people will rave, return, refer other people to attend. And it's a great event because everybody's talking about it on social media, either at the event or the day after, right? Because it's the buzz. Now the FOMO kicks in. Oh my gosh, it looked like a great event. I should have been there, right? That's usually the power of a great event.
Speaking of events, you've been an MC for many different sized events.
Yes.
What have you learned about keeping an audience engaged during those longer programs or virtual spaces? And I mean, you already talked about getting people engaged on social media and different things, but just what else would you have to say about that?
So I would say that no matter if the audience is 20, 200, or 2,000, any type of thing where you can quickly do some type of breaking up the monotony, right? Like, oh my gosh, you just had a clapper on stage. So it's that. So I think the biggest thing is audiences, because I do a lot of with adults, we're big kids. Like, it's like we get fidgety, right? So I think it's like how everything that I just mentioned, like, how can I potentially add in some audio? This was an audio and a visual. Like, for example, if Izzy just got done speaking, I might go like, let's give her a round of applause. But I could actually come and say, let's give her a round of applause. Or I can say, hey, event planner, can we order 200 of these so this can add to the experience, right? So again, I think it's really incorporating those things in. I have what I call audience activation activities that I do. So for example, if one of you are done speaking, I might bring out, for example, I got so many props over here because I do stuff. So I'm showing you all my tricks, right? You can't see it. Maybe you heard it, right? But I might bring out, I'm holding like a fictitious $1 million bill. And I might talk about, in order to get to the millions, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have to be willing to do things differently. And I might do a recap of what, one of the keynote speakers just said, but I might show a visual of $1 million to kind of drive and reinforce. So to make things simple, I think that engagement has to be intentional. Gone are the days where you're like, thank you so much for that great presentation. On to the next speaker. Like, what are you doing in between? Because the biggest part of conferences that people don't talk about is the gap. And the gaps are the transition points. The gaps are when it's a 15, 20-minute break. The gaps are they go to the exhibit hall, you want them to come back. The gaps are, go stretch and you lose them to their hotel room. So when you have different, activation activities and music, it really does assist with making sure that it is a well-rounded 360 experience.
So, what's one thing that every event planner or a business owner who's running an event should do before that mic goes live?
Oh, that's a laundry list. Before it goes live, I mean, oh my gosh, I can take it at from so many different angles. Um, from a technical standpoint, this should be a tech check, right? Like, we shouldn't just be getting on there hoping, wishing, and praying that these mics work, right? So it's all about doing your walkthrough. Like, when if I'm keynote speaker or I'm hosting, I never get on a cold stage. There is a walkthrough either hours before. I prefer the day before, just to make sure that those tech checks, but that's pretty standard. People do that. But also too, just making sure that you have your contingency plan in place, really working. This is where your MC comes in. What if, a speaker's supposed to be here and they went to the wrong airport? What is our contingency plan if our speaker's running 30 minutes late? Right. So there's just a lot of planning that has to happen. And that shouldn't all fall on the planner. It should be a partnership between the partner and the planner and the MC.
And as someone who is getting paid to speak, what advice would you give someone who's ready to get paid to speak, but they don't know how to take that leap yet?
I would say that visibility is bigger than ability. Most people are not putting themselves out there because they're waiting for the perfect demo reel. They don't necessarily have the clients that they want yet, but people are getting speaking engagements literally off of the content that they post. So I would say if you're serious about, becoming a speaker, first of all, I should know you're a speaker. It should be in your LinkedIn bio. It should be on your website. I should see clips of you speaking. If you don't have that, if you've done a podcast, whatever it is where your thought leadership or your voice is being experienced should be repurposed. And a lot of times we have stuff, right? We got footage, interviews. We were sitting on a panel. That's all sitting on our phone or sitting on our laptop. So I say take that information and start making yourself visible. And I think that people focus on getting credible, improving their story. And at the end of the day, we just want to know that you're doing what you say that you're doing. Because how can I hire you if I don't know you exist? So get visible. Pick a platform and dominate. I think a lot of times speakers like, okay, I got to get my YouTube channel, my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, and my LinkedIn. And I'm like, choose a lane and dominate. So for me, I have gotten a lot of my opportunities through LinkedIn. Now, do I have a presence on the other platforms? Yes, but I feel like LinkedIn has worked well for me. So I am visible. I am searchable. I am discoverable. I am findable because I can't say I'm a speaker, but there's no proof that I'm a speaker. Because if someone is looking to hire me as a speaker or looking to hire me as an MC, they're going to do their digital background check. They're going to want to see that I am who I say I am. So I want to leave them a paper trail or I want to leave them breadcrumbs. So they say, okay, Quinn says she does this. It checks out. Now let me reach out because they're not reaching out without doing research first.
So you founded the Epic MC Academy. Why was that important to you? And what's a common mistake you see rising MCs or speakers make?
Well, number one, I thought I was on this island by myself. A lot of my friends are keynote speakers, and I still do keynote speak, but I've decided to prioritize the MC role because I do feel like a lot of events and planners overlook this role until something goes wrong or left or right. And once I started to kind of really dive into it and be all in versus all over the place, a lot of other MCs started to reach out. Oh my God, I love to MC as well. I didn't know this could be a thing. I didn't know that I could get booked. Where do I start? What do I do? How do I price? Like all these questions. And I'm like, I found myself having these conversations with people 2 or 3 times a week. I'm like, I need to like formalize this and teach people how I did what I did. So it was a need of people reaching out to me saying that they had either MC before but never gotten paid. They never thought it could be a profession. And once, a few people started to reach out, I was like, let me go ahead and package what I know about breaking into the MC space and then teaching others. Because I'm only one person. And also I like to refer. So if I'm not available, I wanted to make sure there were people out there who were properly trained. So if I wasn't available, I could say I am not, but this person is. So it came out of a need of people reaching out to me, either seeing me MC, referred to me as an MC, wanted to take MC more seriously, and didn't necessarily know of anyone who was teaching it. So I decided to go ahead and create the academy.
I want to talk more. This isn't exactly the question that we have written down, Yasmin, but I want to talk more about the social media presence that you were bringing up with
Sure.
the LinkedIn and different things like that. So, when you're searching for events or different things that you would like to speak at before you started the MC Academy, but what things should people keep in mind when creating or editing their LinkedIn profile? So, when it comes to bio, what should they be highlighting to get speaking events, different things like that?
Yeah, so your header, so LinkedIn is a search engine as well. So when people go to Google or they go anywhere else, I look at LinkedIn as your second website. So anything that pretty much could be on your website, honestly, could be on your LinkedIn. So number one, the basics is the basics. Is there speaker on your profile. Like, you'd be surprised how many people say that they're a speaker, and I don't see speaker in their profile. It says like mother, cat lover, marketer. But I'm like, where is the speaker part? Like, also too, in your about section, which if you go to someone's website, the about section is the number one visited page next to the homepage. They go to the homepage because that's where your website teaches you. And then they go to the about us. So who do you speak to? So I think it's being very clear, like, who do you speak to? So, for example, there are people who speak to adults. There's people who speak to college students. There's people who speak to teen moms. Like, I should know if someone's looking for you, it should be like, this is who I speak to. Here are the types of events that I speak at. So I think it's just about the person who's a speaker, number one, knowing what their speaking superpower is and being able to make sure that that is communicated through their social media presence, whether that's their heading, their LinkedIn bio. People drastically underutilize the LinkedIn recommendations. I have over 215 LinkedIn recommendations, right? Now, I could be horrible as a speaker. I'm not. I know that I'm a great speaker, right? However, if an event planner says, oh my gosh, she has 215 recommendations, she must be good. So it's the passing the perception test as well. So make sure if somebody finds you on social, that everything that you want to be booked for, everything you want to be known for, the audience that you speak to, people who have worked with you in the past, you're being intentional about building up your social capital, because that's how it starts. And them calling you is a byproduct of them already doing your research. And if you're serious about keynote speaking or workshops or emceeing, I boldly believe that LinkedIn is the best platform because that's where the organizers are. So you can be great, but TikTok is for people who might be inspired by you, but not be booking you, right? So director of events, director of programming, marketing and events professionals, they're living on LinkedIn and are looking for your expertise. So you just want to make sure that you are keyword optimized, you're doing the right hashtags, and also you're visible, you're posting consistently. You can't post once. And I mean, and just fill in all the blanks. I can't take you seriously if I go to your LinkedIn profile and there's a gray background. Why don't you have a banner? Like, I don't understand. It's 2026. Get a banner. Get a profile picture. Okay, now you got me on my soapbox. I can go on and on.
Well, maybe we can bring you on for part two, just on
I know.
LinkedIn.
Let's do it,
Yeah.
Yasmin. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So, can you share a real world example of someone you've helped shift their messaging and the result that it had?
Yeah, so I remember I have a couple of different examples. I remember I was working with a person, and he was saying that he's a motivational speaker, and he was getting very frustrated because every time he would say that he was a motivational speaker, people were like, "Oh, good for you," but he wasn't getting booked, and he was a really good speaker. So once we started to work together, I told him I was like, "People want your title, not your transformation. You have to verbalize your value. Motivational speaker is too generic. You want to go specific." So whoever is the right person to work with you, they can immediately self identify when you say what it is that you do. So before working with me, he had what I call a boring and basic elevator pitch. He was saying something like, I'm a motivational speaker. After working with me, we transformed what he said to um I what did we say? Okay. I encourage college students to stop drinking. Hold on, I'm thinking about it really quickly. I I speak to college students about not using alcohol and drugs so they can enjoy their college experience. Like, that's kind of what we came up with. I'm kind of paraphrasing, right? But it went from I'm a motivational speaker to I motivate college students not to use drugs and alcohol so they can enjoy their college experience worry free, something like that. And once we kind of started doing the work, we realized, like, you're sitting here trying to speak to corporations, and there's a whole market of the college and university market that hire for topics just like that. So he didn't know his audience. At the end of the day, your audience is either high school professionals, assemblies, you know what I mean, that are encouraging students not to drink and use drugs, or college students who have regularly programming on why you shouldn't drink and do drugs. So it was one of those things that we were really able to say, okay, now we know who your target client is. But more importantly, now when they say, what do you do? What do you speak about? You can answer it in a way that's clear, that's concise, and that's compelling.
What's one thing you wish more women business owners understood about the power of their voice?
That their voice, there's a huge misconception out there that burns my little brown biscuits. And and that is we've been told that like we have to find our voices. Find assumes that your voice is lost. I believe that our voices are not lost. I believe that somewhere along the line, whether it's cultural, whether it's growing up, whether it's a business, whether it's corporate America, whether it's a job, our voices got muted and muzzled. So I want them to kind of get rid of the idea and the notion and the ideology that they have to find their voice. And my thing is, how can we turn your because we're talking like I mean, it's all in our head, or we're talking to a friend, or we're journaling. Our voices are there. It's just like, is it audible? Is it muted? Does it need to be turned up? So I would say getting rid of the idea of that we have to find our voice. And I think it's the courage, the confidence, and the audacity to begin to use our voices again. That's what I think it comes down to. And that's what I would tell women. You ain't got to find your voice. What you need to do is you need to turn your voice up because you have opinions, you have thoughts, you have all those things. And for whatever happened, you didn't feel safe to share anymore. Now, I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the line, it got muted, but it never went away. You never lost it.
I love that.
Why
That's
she
a high,
laugh when I said my little brown biscuits?
just like wasn't expecting it. Uh, but yeah, I love that as a highly opinionated, loud person. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And so for the final question, how do you market like it's hot?
Um,
How do I market like it's hot? I think my strategy is just visibly showing up. I post every single day. That is my strategy. I schedule it, so I utilize certain strategies. Sometimes it's in real time, but I have found that many people are missing out on opportunities because not because they're not good, it's because they're not visible. So I have found so many amazing entrepreneurs, whether they're men, or they're women, especially women, and they're like thinking that the work will speak for itself, thinking that like just being good is going to get them opportunity. And I'm like, you have to show people that you're not even good. You have to show people that great and grand is available. So my biggest marketing strategy is straight visibility. I don't even focus on skill or talent. I just want to make sure that if you're looking for me, you can find me. If you're looking for someone that does what I do, because you might not know that you need me, but if you're looking for a speaker on business, if you're looking for an MC, and if you search these words, if you're scrolling on LinkedIn, then I am findable. So I believe visibility every day, all day, twice on Sunday.
so we've learned a lot today, and I really truly do wish that I could bottle you up or just have you like on my shoulder, and then you could just say, "Don't say that," and like smack it. um, how if we are interested in learning more about you, about the luxury language list, about any of that, how can we get a hold of you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best way to connect with me. And again, if you're interested in my luxury language list, which gives you a list of words that you shouldn't be using as a business owner, as a marketer, as an entrepreneur, I'll give that to you complimentary. And it also gives you a list of words that you should be using as well. So I mentioned some of those words, during this interview. However, if you want to see something visual, I can definitely happily send that to you. But LinkedIn, Quinn Conyers is the best way to connect with me.
Well, thank you for listening to Market Like It's Hot. If today's episode made you nod, laugh, or scream finally, share it with your team, or a boss who still thinks you should be on Facebook. For tools, templates, and hot takes we don't share on there, head to myrebelmarketing.com/checklist and grab our, I guess not free worksheet, complimentary worksheet. Feeling bold? DM us on LinkedIn and tell us what you're sick of in marketing. We might just feature it. Until next time, stay strategic, stay spicy, and whatever you do, don't settle for boring.